Hello everybody, Calamity here, or at least that's what I told Santa. Today's video is actually going to be an AMA. Since we got to 2,000 subscribers, I am doing a bit of a milestone video where I answer all of your questions. They didn't have to be Genshin related, so I made a post earlier this week, or last week, asking y'all to submit some questions, as well as some help from my Discord community. But before I start answering some questions, I actually have a question for y'all that watch my videos. And my question is, do you guys want to see any other sort of incentives when we reach sub goals? Because I have no idea what to do when we reach, like, say we reach like 2,500 subs or 3,000 subs. You know, I want to be able to do like other stuff, not just always AMAs. I mean, they're nice, don't get me wrong, but I'm sure you guys would like to see some sort of other various incentives for reaching sub goals and stuff like that. So if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments below. I would appreciate that a lot. Mostly okay with anything that y'all will come up with except face reveal. The whole reason I have a VTuber model is to avoid showing my face if possible. So anything but that I should be okay with, but I'll be checking out the comments. Now with that being said, let's start answering them. I have them on my other monitor over here, and I'll have them pop up on the screen as I answer them. So the first question comes to us from Voti Tigray for sorry, I ruined that question. He says, "Thank you, or congrats on your progress, and I wish you success in the future." Thank you. I enjoy your video, even for characters I don't play or won't pull for, and I hope to see more of it. Of course. For my question, do you think you'll be tired of puns at the start of your videos? I hope not. I just made one. Well, they're not really puns, but I know what you mean. Like the little jokes I do at the intro. That's a little bit of a is it homage? I actually stole that idea from Ots Darva. He is a Dead by Daylight content creator, and he also does these sort of intro jokes. Now, I say copy, but I don't mean like I steal his ideas or anything. It's more like, you know, the saying imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. That's more where I'm coming from when I do those sorts of intro jokes or whatever. I have seen some people that have recognized them from like me doing Otstarva's little intro thing. Some people don't understand that, and they think I'm just straight up copying him. I've seen comments say like, "Bro thinks he's Otstarva." I'm not trying to be Otstarva. I'm not trying to like steal his whole shtick. I just really like his content, so I incorporated his little intro in my intro. It's not like I copy his jokes one for one either. I try to make up my own or put a Genshin spin on them at least, so they're a little bit original. But yeah, I won't be stopping to do those anytime soon. Next question is from Luke Lawson 1794. Congrats, been loving your content for a while, and it's great to see your growth you deserve. Thank you. I actually walked upstairs this week, and my wife was watching one of your one of your guides on my TV while playing Genshin on her. She tried to apologize and said she would switch it off so I could play, but I said no way. I went off on a rant about how much I enjoyed your videos, opinions, and build, and how glad she connected with your content. I delayed playing that evening so we could dive into a few more builds together, and it was definitely worth it. Keep it up as long as you keep it up as long as you can, and know we'll be here just enjoying it with you along the way. That has to be one of the most wholesome comments I've ever read since starting my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And thank you to your wife as well. The Q&A is, what was your first console gaming experience, and what game did you truly connect with first? How did that shape your interest in games today, and how do you see your interest in games changing in the future? Alright, buddy. That's 2 questions. I'm just kidding, but it's fine. So the first gaming console experience I ever played was Mario 64 on the Nintendo 64. Very first game ever. I remember I had trouble doing the input for a long jump for Mario, so every time there was a section in the game where you had to do a long jump to, you know, progress, I've actually asked my sister to come do it for me because I couldn't do it. I'd be like, "Yo, can you long jump for me on this part?" And then she'd get annoyed. She's like, "Just learning how to do it yourself." And I was like, "I'm sorry, it's hard." And then the second question is, how did that shape your interest in games today, and how do you see Interesting games changing in the future. Well, I don't really play platformers, at least not as often as I used to, I guess, back then. I am definitely more into RPGs and I guess a little bit of shooters these days. But I still play, like, I'll still play, like, Mario games every now and then. Or at least some sort of platforming game every now and then. Do I see my interest in games changing in the future? Not really. Still liked I still liked video games back then, and I still like video games now. And I don't see that changing. Next question is from Danny RDM. Congrats. What's the story about your avatar? And the age-old question, is it pronounced GIF or GIF with a hard G? Thank you. First and foremost, I don't really have any YouTuber lore, VTuber model lore, or anything like that. I know a lot of people do. For me, it's more when VTuber stuff started becoming super popular and also somewhat affordable to more people. I just saw it as a way of, hey, I don't really have to show my face on camera or get a webcam for it. Well, I still have to buy a webcam. I'm just not using it to show my face. I'm using it to track my face for the VTuber model, which is fine. I'm not comfortable with showing it. And I pronounce it GIF with a hard G. GIF, GIF, GIF. Not GIF. The next question is from Samer Jammer, who asks, if you could C6 any character, who would they be and why? Oh boy, there's so many. If you would have asked me this pre-Farina, though, the answer would have been a lot, but C6 means I get to use like a C6 Farina means I get to use her as a main DPS, and she also becomes like this super insanely strong buffer. And because she buffs so much, I literally can use any character I want, and they'll be like able to do the Spiral Abyss content. Like I'm talking even like those way underused characters getting a huge buff from Farina would be great. And then she can also just take over herself if needed, because I really like her character. I liked her story. If you guys haven't done the Archon quest yet, please do it. It changed my opinion on her completely. It was really, really good. But again, if you ask me before Farina, maybe Raiden Shogun or Nahida. I know I like the Archons a lot because their constellations are the most busted thing ever. But if you want to talk about a non-Archon character, maybe Ayaka, because she gets really, really strong with her constellations. Like her burst gets even stronger, and then at C6 you can use her normal attacks as well. Sorry, her charge attacks as well to do even more damage. So just overall, just she becomes insanely strong. So any of those characters I would love to see C6. There's so many. Miguel Ray asks, favorite slash go-to comfort food, if any. If I'm going to a restaurant and I don't know what they have, I will always look for pasta, specifically fettuccine alfredo. That's usually my go-to food anywhere in most restaurants. But if it's like more of an Asian themed restaurant, then I look for ramen. I like tonkatsu ramen the most, and that's my go-to for most places as well. Last but not least, on the YouTube comment or questions, we have Baraku13 who asks, when are you gonna get your own merch? Okay, about the merch thing, I could have sworn I answered this before. I don't know how to set that up, and even if I do, I want it to be with a good, reputable company. Like, I don't want to just sign up with anything and be like, hey guys, I have shirts, mugs, and plushies for you to buy, and then it's like some cheap brand and the shirts get faded after one wash, or they tear easily because the fabric isn't good, or the plushies start, you know, coming apart, you know, after a while and stuff like that. Like, I want it to be good quality stuff, but I don't even know how to set that up or design it myself. And I don't know if that costs money, because that's the other thing. If it costs money for me to set that up, I don't have any, so don't expect any merch from me anytime soon. I also don't think I'm big enough to have merch or have anyone that's interested in buying merch for my brand. Like, do you guys want a shirt with my VTuber's face on it? I don't really think so. I don't think that's a good look. Or my face on a mug. Plushie maybe, I guess, but the other stuff, not so much. Alright, so I also turned to my Discord to help me with some extra questions let's go through them. So the first one comes to us from Kenny, who asks, which Final Fantasy game do you like playing the most? 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10? I guess we're going with the later half because the first 5 don't exist. They're too old. 10 is the easy answer for me. It's my go-to. 10 is the first Final Fantasy game I ever played. When I first got a PlayStation 2, I loved it because of the voice acting and the story and the whole just, you know, the battles being more interactive than the previous titles in there. So 10 is definitely the one I enjoy the most. I'll go ahead and just list that in order. It's 10, 7, probably 6, and then 9 and 8. I think 8 is the one I like to play the least, but I still enjoy the story for 8 a lot. It's just I don't like the junction system in that game compared to the other systems, and I think 9's is also pretty. It's alright. 6 I think has like the most fun gameplay wise because there's so many characters and so many things you could do, especially with like if you guys have played 6 before, there's a character named Gao who can learn like literally over 100 different abilities that you can mix and play with, and I think that makes it a lot more interesting to play. It's just that 6 is just a really old game, and I think it needs a remaster, or not a remaster, it just had one, excuse me, a remake. If we're going something like Final Fantasy VII in terms of quality, that would be really, really cool to see. Next up is numbers. It shows up as fantastic, but I just call her numbers. Was there ever a game that profoundly changed your perception of what could be accomplished through video games, whether it's from storytelling perspective or through an innovative gameplay mechanic or something else? Yes. This one's easy, and I can't really explain it without spoiling it. So if you played this game, then you know what I'm talking about. But the game for me is Doki Doki Literature Club. It's a game that kind of advertises itself as one of those cutesy, love, romantic visual novel games. And I was told to play it because there's a little bit of a twist to it. It's not just a VN, a romantic VN at least. And I was like, hey, I like things that are different like that. So I checked it out, and that game blew my mind on what you could do with a video game, and it is something I haven't ever seen since, honestly. Like, well, maybe some games kind of replicate the feeling of what it does a little bit here and there, but EDLC for me was that game that like showed me that you could do completely perception destroying things when it comes to telling stories in video games through use of its story and both the mechanics of the game. So yeah, DDLC for me. Next up is Sphinctus Coyote. Why YouTube and Twitch as a job? Because making money while just playing video games is amazing. I don't want a regular job like retail or warehouse I used to have. I used to work retail, and it was the most miserable 3 months of my life. I'm sure anyone that's worked retail knows why that is. And the warehouse job I had was miserable as well, because I was just like, it was a warehouse for fruit drinks, and we were just in a super cold room for 8 hours a day, literally just peeling cucumbers. That's all you did for 8 hours a day. I felt like I was just wasting so much time just being there, and I hated it, and I hated getting up for work and having to do that every day for 8 hours. Like, don't get me wrong though, the company there was nice, like talking to your coworkers to pass the time was cool and all, but man, it's not fun literally just standing there for 8 hours peeling cucumbers and other warehouse stuff. They had me do packaging, and they moved me around and stuff. I had no fun ever, no matter where they put me. So, and I've done the whole college thing as well, where I've gone to college for IT stuff, but I just wasn't able to get a job with it after graduating. And yeah, I'd rather have a nice comfy job at home. I'm very introverted. I don't like being outside all the time. I know some people enjoy that and all that stuff, but not me. I'd rather be home, and if I can make a living off YouTube and Twitch, that'd be great. But right now I don't. I just make a little bit of, I would just call it pocket change. I'm able to afford some stuff, but I'm definitely being supported by my mom, at least when it comes to living situation. And it's very expensive to live out on your own these days anyways. Next question is from Dizzy. If you could wipe one game from your memory and experience again for the first time, which one would it be and why? That's a hard question because there's so many, and I just talked about one of them. Doki Doki Literature Club is a game that I would love to re-experience for the first time, but I feel like that's a cheap answer to use a game that or to use an answer I just said. So I'll say this is actually a hard question now that I think about it, because I wouldn't want to re-experience games like Path of Exile or Dead by Daylight for my first time again, because those kinds of games I've accumulated knowledge for over the years. Like I play a lot of PoE, I played a lot of DVD, and I wouldn't want to start over and wipe my memories of like my knowledge on how to, like in Dead by Daylight, how to play against all the different killers, in PoE, like knowing all the different game mechanics and stuff like that. Even Genshin, right? Like knowing how to build all the characters, I wouldn't want to wipe my memory of that and have to start fresh. But I guess it definitely has to be a single player game. And I would honestly say Elder Scrolls Oblivion, because I don't want to use DDLC or Final Fantasy X as cheap answers again. So for me, Oblivion was the first Elder Scrolls game I ever played, and I want to say it was my first like open world game I ever played. And I just sunk a lot of hours exploring and doing all the quests, and I had a lot of fun playing all these different characters and trying all these different builds. It was really fun, and I would definitely like to experience again. I try to play Oblivion now, and it's just one of those games that's so dated. Like you need a ton of mods to even get it to work properly. And even then, you could have everything set up correctly and do all this stuff right, and like my last time I tried to play it, it still crashed a bunch on my computer, and that really sucks. So I do hope maybe Bethesda remasters it at some point so I can at least play it, and play it again. But it definitely won't have that same magic feeling that it did when I first played it. Next up is Cloud Delicious, who asks, has streaming and interacting with chat affected your IRL social skills? Are you more or less sociable now? More or less awkward if you were at all to begin with? It's the same. Honestly, you would think streaming might help with socializing a bit, but not really, because when I'm talking to you, either if it's a stream or a YouTube comment, I'm talking to you through a VTuber model and not in person. Because at least in a YouTube comment or, chat, there isn't too much pressure to keep the conversation going constantly, whereas when you're talking to someone in real life, it feels like, oh no, I have to keep the conversation going, and you don't have to, I don't really have time to like think about what they said and like have a well thought out response without it being awkward or anything like that. So no, not really. I would say it's more or less the same. I'm still pretty shy in person when talking to people. Next up is Raycaster24, who asks, if you owned a farm, what would be your main source of income? Animal products / vegetables, etc. My main source of income would be vegetables, because you won't see me killing any animals, bro. I can't do that. Vegetables are easier to work with, I'd imagine so. But yeah, vegetables all the way. Next up is Homegrown Tone, who asks, how do you feel about Twitch backing titty streamers preying on men's lust to further their content as opposed to real streaming? It's so funny to read that. Okay. How do I feel about Twitch backing certain streamers? I just wish that Twitch was more consistent with their rule enforcement, because there have been some, I obviously won't talk about it in detail here, but there's been some saucy clips of Twitch streamers doing some stuff that they shouldn't, and then they only get banned for a week, and then another person will do something like also like, I don't want to even say equally as bad, but like they'll do something that's also quote unquote saucy, not safe for work stuff, and then they'll get, permanently banned. It's like, but the first person did something way worse. Why did they only get a week versus why did, this guy only get, or why did this guy get permanent banned? And you might say, oh, it's because they're playing favorites. The person in the first that I'm referring to in the first bit wasn't even like a famous streamer, and they only got a week. They weren't even like partnered or anything like that. So that's why I just wish the consistency was there. Now that being said, I don't really care what other streamers are doing on their channel. As you know, it doesn't bother me. Whatever you want to do on your stream, that's you. And you know, it doesn't bother me either, because I just stick to gaming content, whether I'm watching it on YouTube or Twitch. Like on Twitch, I watch a lot of Dead by Daylight streamers. I watch a lot of PoE streamers. I like to watch fighting game content creators, and speedrunners and stuff like that. I like to watch all sorts of gaming related content. So I don't even know what these other non-gaming content streamers are doing on their channel unless someone posts it on Twitter or Reddit, and they're like, oh my god, I can't believe this person did this, and I'm like, I wouldn't have even known until you shared that. So it doesn't really bother me. It's just more Twitch should be more consistent with their rules, and punishment for breaking said rules is all I want. And the last question is Edmar, who asked, if you ever met a voice actor, who would it be? Oh, this is a hard one, because I love a lot of the Japanese voice actors. If you watch my videos, all of my Genshin guides, the voice actors are in Japanese. And that is because I recognize them from a lot of the anime I watch, and I love watching anime, and I would love to meet them, but I don't speak Japanese, and I don't know how well they speak English, so that could be awkward. But I also do like English voice actors as well. Troy Baker, Laura Bailey, Tara Strong is another one, because I believe she voices Riku in Final Fantasy X, right? There's just so many voice actors I would love to meet, but out of all of them, I'd probably want to meet Troy Baker, because he's been in a lot of video games that I really like. Like, I'm sure everyone knows, but he's the voice of Joel in The Last of Us. He's the voice of Booker in one of my favorite games ever, BioShock Infinite, which is also another game I would also wipe my memory to experience for the first time again, by the way. He's also in Persona 4. If you used English voices in there, like, that dude's been in a lot of video games, and it would be fun to have a little chit chat with him, to ask him which games did he like, or what's the story behind, working on this character. Did you enjoy voice acting this character? Did you have a fun time doing this one? Which character didn't you like? But again, I'm also really shy in person, so I have a really hard time talking to him. It's so intimidating. When you actually see people you admire so much and you've never met before. Like, I've actually seen Justin Wong in person when I went to EVO a long time ago, and I was too scared to go up to him and ask for an autograph, or even just to say hi, what's up, can we take a selfie and stuff like that. Like, I was too scared to go up to him. And he also had like a big crowd around him, so it's Justin Wong. So I know he's not a voice actor, but it's same type of deal of social anxiety. I'd be scared to go up to him. But anyways, that is going to be a wrap for this AMA. Thank you everybody that submitted a question. I hope my answers are more than satisfactory to your liking, and I look forward to making more Genshin guides. Don't forget to answer my question if you guys have an idea what you want to see for future incentives. And yeah, hopefully I get to see you guys back here for another, milestone video for YouTube, whether that's 2,500 subs or 3,000 subs. I appreciate everyone that takes the time to subscribe to the channel, as well as watch my videos and comment, all that stuff. You guys are great, and you're the reason I'm able to make some sort of money off of this. And hopefully I get to make more videos in the future that are even better than the ones I have out now, and all that other stuff. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.